might get like the hot girlfriend, but at some point she's going to cheat on you with the fitness trainer. There definitely have been multiple, girls who are wanting to hook up just because of my body. Oh, I want a really nice guy who just brings me flowers and spends a lot of money on me. What they left out is they want you to be hot and attractive. They would talk about having a boyfriend, how he's so nice and does all these sweet things for her. And then later you'd see her like walking out of the club with some other guy. That kind of athletic physique was what girls like the most. Guys feel like they need to be bigger than they actually need to be attractive to women.
Does a fit body matter when it comes to dating and getting laid? To answer this important question, I brought on a special guest to the channel today. His name is Bill Wong, aka Dr. Swole. He is a medical doctor, a natural physique expert, and he interviewed thousands of women, drilling them about what is the perfect male physique. So we'll talk about his findings in today's episode. Also, we get personal. Bill reflects on his transformational journey, putting on muscle, and how it changed his dating life and the behavior of women around him. So please enjoy this very special episode. You're an expert in fitness and you know a thing or two about dating and social dynamics, and you've interviewed hundreds of women on that topic as well.
I'm a medical doctor and pro natural men's physique athlete. I got the new Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding by Arnold Schwarzenegger, those classics, and I started working out. And I think for me, I kind of got hooked on that progress aspect of it. But I think most guys get into the gym to look better for girls. And I think that it's ironic because you get into that for that reason. I want to look better for girls. I think girls are going to like me when I'm jacked. And then when you get a great physique, you realize that it's not as important as you thought.
No.
That it's not actually the abs or the muscles that actually get the girls. It's a lot more about the confidence and your personality that changes throughout that process. The physique is important though, and we can talk about that later. And I think that is also something that's underrated by guys, but it definitely changes your perspective once you actually get there. And the other thing is that guys feel like they need to be more jacked than what's actually required to have girls attracted to. And guys don't realize that until later, when they see these pro bodybuilders, and girls actually aren't really into that. When you're a young guy, life is tough. You haven't achieved a lot of things. You haven't figured out who you are, and you haven't found your voice. And that definitely was the case for me. I think for young guys, having the physique and the looks department matters more. And as you become older, other factors come into play that make it more difficult. When you first get into bodybuilding, and for a lot of gym guys, they think that their success with women is linearly proportional to how jacked they are. And you realize that that isn't the case. A big thing that guys don't realize is that the bodybuilding physique isn't actually widely attractive to all girls, but it is very attractive to a subset of girls. Okay. And I think that happens for a lot of things in dating. Girls are into a massive spectrum of different types of guys, like different looks. There's hipsters, there's the slick city guy, there's the cowboy in the boots and the hat. And there are going to be girls who are into all those subtypes. But if you can like nail one subtype, you're going to do really well with a subset of girls. So fitness does get you a lot more attention from girls who are into fitness, which I actually think is like a synergistic like advantage, because I think the fitness girls are the ones you want. So I actually think that's like, it's still valuable. And I also have realized that while other things come into play a lot more in terms of access to girls and dating, like other things like your personality and your speaking ability and your social circle and those kinds of things will actually get you more access to dating. The fitness standpoint still has a really big role in the quality of that attraction. What I found is that when girls are into you for that, sexual attraction, that physicality, it's a very unique type of attraction. And I think it's the purest form of attraction. I think that you can attract women through different categories, right? Like through your social circle, your social status, through your success, your wealth, through your looks and your fitness, and then through your personality, or people might call it game. And I think all those pillars will work, but the physicality part of it is a very like pure form of attraction. So I think it's really valuable for people to have that because even if you're killing it in all the other categories, like let's say, you're really famous and rich and cool personality, but you've got a dad bod or like, but you're overweight or whatever, you might get like the hot girlfriend, but at some point she's going to cheat on you with the fitness trainer, or something like that
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
that part of it is missing.
Yeah, especially even like from a health standpoint, I guess if you are overweight, it's going to be harder to give her a good sexual experience, right? So it's even just like if I look at a guy who's fit, it might not be true, but I automatically assume, okay, he's probably better in bed as well. He can go for longer. There's
It's
probably
athletics.
there's like probably these positive associations, right? If I look at the sexy pool boy, I'm like, from the perspective of a bored housewife, I'm really like, damn, he could fuck me really well, not like my old husband who's like overweight.
What would you say from a perspective of a dating coach is comprises a high value guy? Like a lot of people talk about this, about how
Mm.
there's different categories, looks, money, status, and your game. Which of those are the most important or to what ratios?
I mean, for sure, game out does everything else. Now, game is a big term, right? Into game, you could call it charisma. What is charisma? You could put in there your conversation skills. You could put in your flirting skills, and you're like, okay, what is flirting? You can break it down more and more. Flirting, you could say, okay, you're able to hold pressure, constantly releasing pressure. You're able to insinuate sexual thoughts, and you're able to express your sexuality. That could fall into the flirting category. So, game is a big word. And for sure, it gets you further than anything else, especially as a young guy where you're just not that set up yet financially. Um, it always works. Like I've been in environments, where there's guys who are like good looking, tall, with 100 million net worth, and still the girl is like cringed out by the guy and just goes with the other dude who just is like present.
Yeah.
So overall, though, I would say presence is number one because even if you have money and even game technically, you know the right thing to say, and you're fit and you got this and that and whatever status, but you can't be with her in the moment. It sounds cliche, be present, Buddha, but it's so true. She can't buy herself anything in the moment with whatever money you have in the bank account, right? You don't make her feel better in the moment just because you're ripped. Like she's with you right here right now. So a guy can actually be in the moment with a girl is always going to win. And then I would say, to the question of like what makes a high value man, overcoming fear, right? Because we're all afraid. Like every man is afraid. We're afraid to approach girls. We might be afraid to go to the gym because we get judged by other guys who are already there for 10 years and they look much better. We're afraid to quit our job to pursue something else. We're afraid to knock on doors or do sales, or we're afraid. And I guess the guys who win, who are truly high value, are the ones who just overcome their fear or have the fear and go for it anyway.
I think as a man, you need to take risks. Like the guy who fades into the background and plays it safe all his life will never get anything great. And we live in this society now where there's nothing that's actually going to come by and kill you if you don't go out and do something great. Like, it's not like the old days when you had to spear down a gazelle in order
Yeah.
to survive. Like you can just sit on your couch watching Netflix and drinking beer like every night and get away with it and still live. But the only way you're ever going to have the life that you want is by taking risks and going for something big. And I think that is a key mindset that a lot of people need to understand, that as a man, it's your imperative to shoot for the stars.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what I've noticed all the time, everyone lives in their own bubble, right? And no matter at what level you are of entrepreneurship or personal development, we always like in our own bubble. And the best and kind of only way to break out of that is surround yourself with people who just are further ahead than you are, or who see the world in a bit of a different way. So I always suggest to everyone, meet other men and hang out with them. Nothing is going to inspire you more. Nothing is going to make you go, oh shit, I better, I need a kick in the butt. You can't get yourself out of your own misery. Like the environment is going to make it 100 times easier. So that is my advice for every man. Find other men around you who are 1, 2, 3, 4 steps ahead of you. It's gonna make you think differently. Let's get really tactical here. So I'm sure as you improved your physique, you would have gotten more attention from women. Was there ever a time where you struggled using that attention and actually converted into dates? Or tell us about that experience, because I think there might be some guys who look great, get attention from women, but still can't convert it.
Oh, that was absolutely me. There definitely have been multiple, girls who were wanted to hook up just because of my body, that kind of thing.
How did they approach you in the bar? They text you on Instagram? How does that look like? Just so I can imagine it.
Yeah, girls are pretty indirect. They
Mm-hmm.
are, you have to, that's the thing. And that's the thing that I got wrong when I was younger is I didn't understand how to identify those signals they were giving
Right.
because sometimes girls can be subtle, like maybe they're just eyeing you down or something like that. If girls actually strike up a conversation with you, okay, like I was in the gym the other day and some girl comes up to me and she just starts asking me like a random question about working
Mm-hmm.
out. Like, oh, like, how do you know how many reps to do or something like that? But that wasn't by accident. And
And you
then
said it's always 12.
yeah, they can be subtle about it. There were times when I was younger when girls were like overtly, I remember being at a med school party and one of
Mm-hmm.
my med school classmates, they were all drunk and she starts like catcalling me. She's like, "Oh, damn, Bill," because it was some like Halloween party and we were all wearing,
Sexy
we were
costumes.
all like half naked or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was at that point, I just didn't know how to deal with it, right? And when you're when you're inexperienced or especially when guys are young and you don't understand how to talk to women, those opportunities get wasted because
Mm-hmm.
you're just like, oh, I'm clueless. Okay, what do I say? Like, what do I do? And it's tragic because that's like game on easy mode. Like
Yeah.
if you see a girl giving you that attraction off the bat, let's say you're at a party and you see a girl is looking at you and making a lot of eye contact with you, that's like the easiest level. That's like level zero.
Yeah.
Like she's just waiting for you to walk up. You can just walk up to her and she's gonna do the work for you.
Yeah. And guys don't realize that. Like the more you go black pill, the more guys think like it should be equal. Women should also make a move. Blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, bro, if you expect the woman to do the man's job, which is approach, forget about it. It won't happen. No matter how good looking you are, right? You could be a Chad, good looking, ripped, and she's still not gonna do that most of the time. Sure, she gets tipsy and her friends are like, "Come on, do it." It might happen, but in general, no. And that's the first thing guys have to understand. Like, you always gonna have to do the initial approach, right? But there will be signals, and they're subtle. Like I'm telling my clients, because I help a lot of guys improve their Instagram profile, and I'm telling them basically, if a girl like likes your story or reacts to a story, even if it's like in a subtle way, like just like with an emoji, it means more than zero for sure, right? Like a
Mm.
girl doesn't just randomly react to dudes posting stories if she's not genuinely interested in you. It's a subtle thing because the guys are like, "What? You just double tapped something? Like it means nothing." And I'm like, "No, it definitely means something, and you should use that as an invitation to start a conversation with her. Obviously, if you know her in real life and you had a chat with her before. So yeah, how was that transition like? Like from you being clueless about the signals to then converting?
It took time. It took just a lot of time being out too and talking to girls and talking to people and learning those skills. But you you understand at some point you finally see the inner workings of the machine behind the
Mm-hmm.
curtain, right? And you see how their psychology actually works. And that's when it like really clicks. Like you realize that, as you said, the burden is on you
Mm-hmm.
as the man to start a conversation and carry that conversation at the beginning and make it engaging and making it a great experience for both of you and for her in order to stay talking to you. Like you have to be more engaging than whatever other options she has and at that point in time, whether it's at a party or even in a coffee shop or whatever. You have to learn those skills and you have to conquer all of those domains as a man, like figuring out your career and your success, figuring out your physique, and then figuring out those dating like conversation skills. Those are all important, and you need to master those to like and really put time into all of them to
Mm.
make it work. I think a lot of guys, they end up leaning into whatever works for them. Like let's say, as you said, the jacked guy, there's a lot of guys who are like, they get a little bit of fitness and then they start getting a bit more attention from girls and then they just lean into that and they're like, oh, okay, like now I just got to work out like 6 days a week for 3 hours and now I'm going to get more women. But it's like you see these really jacked guys, standing around with no girls talking to them because they haven't learned how to actually talk to girls.
Right. No, that's super super important. So it does get you attention, but that doesn't automatically mean it gets you laid. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
What have you noticed? Like, I don't know how your game was at that time, but just it's a personal question. But did you ever notice like girl gave you attention, you had a great interaction initially, but then you kind of lost her because you fumbled it somehow?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Lots of times. I mean, one of the biggest things that guys need to learn in dating is how to identify the girls that are into you and then how to get those girls into your life
Mm-hmm.
because your your best results will come from the really good prospects who are really into you and that you just make those better rather than trying to convert the girls who are sitting on the fence and they're like not
Yes,
really that into you, but you just
absolutely.
chase and chase it, or you fight and you just use all these tricks or like you try and finagle them into your life
Yeah.
and it just doesn't work out in the end. And I think a lot of guys, they want to get the girl that like they have chosen. Obviously, that's great, but I think it's the best sets come from choosing from the pool of girls who are interested in you
Mm-hmm.
as well. Because if you try and chase a girl who's not into you at the beginning and you eventually get her, like let's say a guy gets her into bed, even that doesn't mean that the relationship is going to be good.
Yeah.
And at some point down the line, it's not going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that I tell that to my clients on day game. Like, you know, guy asks me like, okay, so I talked to this girl and she didn't look up from her phone and then she took 2 steps away and then she didn't listen at all and she didn't take her headphones out. Like, how can I get her? And I'm like, you don't. You're just gonna go
Yeah.
to somebody who is actually giving you at least attention and is smiling when you give them a compliment and is continuing. Like, don't focus on the ones who are just not up for it. Like, it's fine. There's thousands of girls walking around in every city who are happy to be approached, and there's obviously also thousands who are busy and not open to it now. So focus on the first ones. Okay, I mean, you went out and interviewed hundreds of women. Tell us about that. That you did the work. Tell us the results. I'm so
Yeah.
curious.
So more like thousands actually. So
Thousands. Okay.
yeah, my buddy and I, Chris Nadeau, we teamed up and we started filming interviews downtown in Vancouver, and then we ended up going to Vegas and Miami, and we would interview girls around fitness and dating topics. And the most viral thing we did was we compared pictures of guys' physiques,
Mm-hmm.
and we would take pictures of steroid enhanced bodybuilders and then of physique, like my physique when I was competing, and we would ask them which they liked better. And the majority of girls would choose the natural physique over the steroid enhanced physique. And we had one video hit 112 million views. It went really big. Yeah, especially the gym bros. A lot of them they couldn't accept the fact that a natural guy was more attractive to girls than like a massive steroid enhanced guy. And
Yeah.
it just kind of unearthed there's a double standard in fitness where guys feel like they need to be bigger than they actually need to be attractive to women. And
Why do you think that
girls,
is?
I think it's amplified by social media.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, our expectations for everything are defined by media, like what we see online, what we see in movies, what we see on the internet, what we see in like,
It's like how Superman looked 20 years ago, and then over the years, the actors who played Superman just became bigger and bigger. Like, is that what you mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. And like what you see on Instagram, like what the Instagram models are now looking like, and what you see in online and in anything, in porn, like all that stuff, like guys feel like that's what they need to be. And then the flip side is also the same for girls, where girls feel like they need to be skinnier than they
Mm-hmm.
actually need to be attractive to guys. Like you don't need to have a six pack as a girl to be attractive. But girls see these pictures online of all these influencers who have like 10 million followers and they look a certain way
Mm-hmm.
and they think that's what is needed.
Or they don't. They just know how to use the filters, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the other thing.
So what do you tell guys who are a bit trapped in that, who consume social media, who have an okay physique, let's say over average, but look in the mirror, look at their phone, think, oh my God, I look like shit. What can they do?
I think you need to change your mindset and you need to learn that maybe even if you are striving for a certain goal, you need to learn to be maximally confident in the person you are today, like right now. Because when you're out there talking to people, talking to girls, all that matters is this moment. Like, who am I in this moment? It doesn't matter like what I'm gonna do in the next, 2 years or something. The other thing that you can do is you can borrow confidence from your future self
Mm-hmm.
is a really good strategy. So it's like, let's say you're not in not such great shape, but you're really getting into the gym, you're getting into it, and you're also improving in other aspects of your life. Like you're working on your career, you're going to be really successful. You imagine yourself as that future person. Like this is the ultimate me. In 10 years, I'm going to be, millionaire, jacked, like all these things. And know that and accept that as your personality because it is you. Like Elon Musk, when he was 18 years old, was still Elon Musk.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay, so you compared the big buff stereo dudes with your physique and women. Was it like 100% of women chose that? What was it, 90-10? What was the result there?
Yeah, probably something like 80 or 90% chose
Okay.
the natural physique. A few girls did like actually smaller, yeah, more like 90% chose the
Mm-hmm.
natural physique. There were a couple of celebrities that we showed that had a bit more of a balanced look that girls really liked. So the most attractive physiques overall were probably Michael B. Jordan, Zac Efron from Baywatch, and Steph Curry. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of athletic, balanced physique
Mm-hmm.
was what girls liked the most. They didn't have to be that shredded. So that's another thing that guys get wrong. They think that you need to have like bodybuilder shreds in order to be attractive, but girls actually don't need you to be that lean. Something like 10 to 15% body fat is the sweet spot for
Mm-hmm.
what's most attractive to girls. So it is nice to have a six pack, but you don't need to have like striations all over your obliques and your glutes or whatever.
Mm-hmm. What is like the worst physique you could have?
Oh, girls didn't like dad bods. Girls
Dad
didn't
bods.
like overweight guys.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's this thing where some girls will like claim they like a dad bod over the
Yeah, I heard it
a
a
fit
lot.
guy,
Mm-hmm.
but that comes down to a couple things. First of all, they are misinterpreting what dad bod means. Like when they say dad bod, they mean like, like the quarterback who just isn't that shredded, but is like very muscular still, but just like doesn't have a six pack, but is still muscular.
Yeah.
And the other thing is
He's like
that
kind of bulked up, right? Like there's muscles under
just
his
not
body.
shredded. Yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
exactly. The other thing is girls don't actually really know what they want. That's another thing is one big thing we took from the interviews is you have to look at what girls do and not what they say. Because girls will say what they want, but they don't
Yeah,
really know. A lot of their actions come from subconscious drivers. So they'll
for
say like,
sure.
"Oh, I want a really nice guy who just brings me flowers and spends a lot of money on me." But what they left out is they want you to be like hot and attractive
Yeah.
first.
Then they want the flowers. If you're not, yeah, of course.
Exactly.
Yeah, especially if you put them like publicly on TikToks and stuff, right? Then they're gonna show their best moral compass self, rather than their true desire. And yeah. and it's a lot of it is subconscious. Okay, so what is worse? Super skinny arms and quite a skinny body, like just like no muscle but not fat, like no bod, or having a bit more muscle but way more fat.
That's interesting. It depends on how much fat the bigger guy has. I think that
Like it's pushing a little, when he walks, you see like his shirt is like stretching out a bit on the bottom, but also he at least fills up the shirt with his biceps, but it's mostly fat. And the other guy is just like a pencil.
yeah, that's a good point. There's actually, I mean, I think that will come down to the preference of the girl. I think there are going to be girls who are more into different types. There are some girls who like the lean, lanky look, and then some girls who would prefer like a bigger guy and don't really care if he has a little bit of a belly. I think that yeah, it depends on how much fat we're talking, but let's say we're talking pretty overweight. If you were to have to choose, you're better off actually being the lean, skinnier guy,
Mm-hmm.
because it just works out in a lot more ways aesthetically, and you can always wear clothing to accentuate your to make yourself, look bigger or change your proportions like that. The other thing is that another thing that people don't realize is that leanness has an indirect effect in improving how you look because it leans out your face.
Mm-hmm.
When you are leaner, you have that cheekbone structure, you have the jawline, and that is something that comes from lower body fat, and it does look better. So I think I'm a big fan of people losing weight and trying to get into that leaner body fat range, like that 10 to 15% range,
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, it has other effects beyond just your abs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess it's also a height thing, right? Like a guy who's like 6'4" gets away with being quite skinny because he can dress cool and wear like oversized stuff and kind of looks like a cool DJ. Versus like shorter guys, they have to bulk up a bit and be a bit lean just to stand out, right? I mean, that's for sure a factor as well. I mean, it's what I tell my clients. It's just, it is what it is. What else did you find out interviewing girls?
We learned a lot about, just seeing girls' behavior after what they said. So
Mm-hmm.
it'd be really
How did
interesting
you
because,
test that?
yeah, I mean, a lot of this came from us just talking to girls, doing the interviews, and then seeing them out in the night later.
Oh,
Like the girls would talk about having a boyfriend,
and you were there with
and
your clipboard
yeah,
taking
exactly.
notes.
Yeah. Just noting everything down, measurements. They would talk about having a boyfriend and like how he's so nice and does all these sweet things for her. And then later you'd see her like walking out of the club with some other guy.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like tall and muscular and good looking. And it kind of unearthed some of these things, this darker side of just human nature. And this
Mm-hmm.
is something that obviously guys cheat all the time too.
Would you
And
say
we
that's
saw lots of
like,
that.
sorry to interrupt, but did you said you did Miami, Las Vegas, and Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
You think that I mean, I don't know if you've done the experiment in Europe or Asia or anywhere else. You think the results would be different, or think it's an international thing?
I think it would be a little bit different. I think that the cross section of people you get in different cities is totally different. Like when
Mm-hmm.
we were in Vegas, it was really interesting because we saw girls from all over the country because they would come in for bachelorette parties
Yeah.
or
I mean,
like
it literally
birthday
says what
parties.
happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? So it's like the
Yeah.
whole slogan of the city is cheat and do whatever you want.
Yeah. But we saw that I think girls from bigger cities were more into like the party vibe, more into all this like status driven behavior, like trying to, flex on social media and that kind of stuff, rather than the girls from smaller towns. I think that there is a difference in the personality type or even just the drivers or goals of people from different cities, like the bigger cities versus the smaller cities. If you're from like a party city, like the Las Vegas locals, were the most intense from that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You'd see more behavior like in Miami. You would see a lot more of girls who were, having their rent paid by a guy who like they weren't even hooking up with,
Yeah.
or, a guy paying for all their
Which again,
beauty
it's
clients
like
and stuff.
the first reaction is always like, oh my God, what a gold digger, right? But then the second thought I always have is like, wait, there is a guy who agreed to this arrangement. So it's not her fault. Like it takes two to tango, right?
Oh yeah, it's
I'm just
not
calling that because I can
absolutely. I
already hear
mean,
my audience like being like, "Oh, these gold diggers! I would never want to have a girl like this." And I'm like, "Well, if she can get her rent paid, and she doesn't have to do
yeah,
anything
like
for it,
yo, pay my
like
rent.
yeah,
Like
like
it's
somebody,
it's a very smart strategy. I mean, what can I say?
totally,
It's the way that the world is right
yeah,
now, and it's not her fault at all. Like it's nothing that she's doing wrong. In fact, that obviously she's benefiting and profiting from
yeah."
how this is going.
I would have many. If I would be a hot 21-year-old, I would have several rents paid. So, yeah, that's interesting. What I noticed with the topic of what women say and what they do is in the subject of age that I've noticed
Mm,
because I'm born in Europe in Austria, but I spend now a big part of my life in Eastern Europe. And even though it's literally just 1,000 kilometers, or like whatever, 600 miles in one direction, the culture is quite different. So I was talking to this girl in Germany, in Berlin. She was German. And I approached her. She was cute. I was direct with her. And she asked me, "How old are you?" And at the time, I was 31. I was like, "I'm 31." And I'm like, "How old are you?" And she's like, "I'm 22." And she was like, "Oh, you're way too old for me," right? So this 9 year difference was way too old. And then I ask, here and there, I ask my either Romanian or Ukrainian or Russian female friends who are 22, 23, like, how old should the guy be? And they're like, well, minimum 35, So
mm.
they don't even want to deal with a guy in his 20s. So it's very interesting how that is. And then the German girls say that, but then they meet a guy who is 35 and he can still charm them. And he's obviously in a position that he can provide more. He's more stable. He's more serious. He's not fucking around. And they do definitely get attracted to him. But their first reaction is like, no, 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 too old, too old. But they still go for it. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
just a reconfirmation of the topic. You should never take the first thing a woman said as on face value.
And at what age do you think guys are at their best from a dating perspective?
I mean, it's a tricky topic because the common public opinion on this is like between 34 and 39, but it's not only the age. You could be an amazing 37-year-old dude if you worked on yourself, right? But you
Mm,
had to start in your 20s. If you did nothing in your 20s and early 30s, just being 37 doesn't make you hot, right?
yeah.
um, but the truth is, like, as a 21-year-old guy, even if you are interesting and somewhat fit and not a dummy, you just have no chance against the 37-year-old who did just spend 15 years building himself up as a man. And then obviously for the girls, it's reverse. Like 21, she's in her peak. She gets invited everywhere. She can use her beauty um, however far she wants to, she chooses to. We just don't have that as a guy.
I
So,
think one really interesting thing from the natural bodybuilding sphere that will bring reassurance to a lot of guys is that guys actually peak really late in terms of a
mhm.
physique standpoint.
Okay.
So, from a natural bodybuilding perspective, guys actually peak in their physiques in their mid 40s.
Oh,
That is something
interesting.
that actually totally blew my mind when I got into it, is that you assume as an athlete that you're going to be better when you're younger. And there is more propensity for your body to build muscle when you're younger in your 20s. But the best bodybuilders on the natural stages are actually in their 40s. It's crazy
Hmm.
because the human is a very slow growing animal. Like it takes a
Hmm.
long time to build muscle when you're natty. Like at this point for me, it takes me like years just to see like myself gaining, like adding a couple pounds. A lot of it also comes from the experience standpoint for bodybuilding, like your ability to get lean while maintaining all of your muscle mass. That's also
Hmm.
a skill standpoint, like learning the nutrition side of things is very skill based. And that's something that guys get better at over time. But I mean, I had a guy on my podcast, one of my friends is Jeff Alberts, who competed in natural bodybuilding at the World Championships at age 52 and placed fifth in the world,
Wow.
competing against all age groups.
Yeah.
Like, that is crazy. Like, guys don't realize how much time they have from a physique standpoint. Like guys think that when they're 40 that they're gonna look like shit and that girls are not gonna be into them. But that's only if you let yourself go. Like, yes,
Hmm.
if you just eat terribly and don't work out, don't take care of your dressing and your grooming or whatever, yeah, like when you're in your 40s, you're gonna look like terrible. But
Yeah.
if you really take care of yourself and really work on building that up, there's actually a lot of potential. It's never too late. I think that guys give up because they're like, oh, I've never gotten into it and now I'm 40 or whatever. But there's research showing that people in the geriatric years, like in their 80s, can still build muscle like to a really good extent. And people don't realize how much your body's capable of even when you're older.
I will share how what I do because I like systemizing things. I love automation software and stuff like that. And whenever I have an issue, I think, how can I automate this so I don't have to think about it anymore? How can I outsource the thinking and the
Mm,
dread and the friction? So what I do in terms of nutrition these days, I get food delivered. There is a great service here where I'm now, where you get in the morning, you get your lunch in a box and your dinner in a box, and they give you the macros, and it's predefined. And then I eat that, and then if I then still crave something else, then I kind of eat what I want. But I know I got my macros in, and I know those things are healthy, right? So I can rely on that. And usually it's so satiating, I can't really eat much more anyway. So it's automated. I don't have to think about it anymore. I don't have to go shopping. Luckily, I'm in Eastern Europe, so it's cheap. I understand it's different in different countries, but it should be a priority, right? If I look at what some people spend their money on, they should just invest in nutrition more than anything else, really. And then what I did with my trainer, I also automated it. So I'm too lazy to go to the gym, and I know myself, right? I work a lot. I'm ambitious with my business, so I'm just like, okay, I'll just not go to the gym 3 times a week consistently. It's just not realistic. I might have a good week here and there. So I hired a trainer. That's the first level of accountability. And then I just pay him more to come to my home and we work out in the home gym. And I just got all the equipment. I have one like rooftop here, put up a machine, put a rack for bench press and overhead military and everything you need, dumbbells and kettlebells. So he comes to my house and he even has a link to my calendar. So, businesses use Tidycal to book sales calls or whatever. I use it for my trainer to book in a session with me. And then I thought, okay, how can I make sure he books it in? Like he has the link, he gets paid. How can I incentivize him even more? So I told him, if you manage to book me in 10 times within 1 month, you get a bonus as well. So now he's chasing that bonus, right? And he's using my booking link. So I look at my calendar now and I'm like, oh, tomorrow another training session. I'm like, on the one hand, I'm like, oh, but it's like, holy shit, the system works. I didn't have to think about it at all. And of course, once he rings on my door, of course I'm going to work out, right? I'm not going to send him home. And then he just tells me what to do. So maybe that's inspiring for someone. I'm a pretty lazy person when it comes to that stuff. And I still figured out a way to eat clean and work out 2 or 3 times a week. So it's definitely possible.
I like that. I mean, especially for really busy entrepreneurs, right? Like you have to build up a system to make things fit into your lifestyle.
Yeah. So it works. And it's just a way of thinking for everything in your life, with dating, with anything.
Yeah, from the
Okay.
dating perspective, what would you
Yeah.
say is currently the best strategy for building social circles? Because I think that's kind of a related topic where one thing we saw when we were doing those interviews is that having like a lot of connections in your group and attractive women actually makes things a lot easier for guys
Hmm.
than actually uh, trying to go out and maybe like swipe on dating apps or something like that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, in the long term, social circle is the best for dating, right? Even I said it. I love cold approach. It gave me a lot, and I still do it for fun. But you can't do cold approach for 10 years, right? It's. I mean, some guys do, but that's a bit crazy as well. But you can run amazing social circles for 10 plus years, and you should. So I would say the biggest kind of hack when it comes to social circle is the image element of it, like the content element of it, right? Because you could put in a lot of work and organize an amazing party, right? You invite all your female friends and they bring other female friends, and you have some cool guys and they know girls, and you have a cool venue and you have a great DJ setup, everything. You put in all that work, but if you don't then take content of it, you basically have no proof that it happened, which kind of sucks, right? Sort of the first event or whatever you do is hard, but if you then manage to create content of it, have it distribute to everyone, they will post about it. Now you have proof. You have proof that you were able to put in an event. You have proof that other girls tag you or they repost you. That gives you social credibility. So the content on Instagram element is huge for that. I mean, that's how I built my bikini brand Tilted, where I go on holiday with ladies around the world. So I would say to everybody who has zero photography skills, pick up like a basic iPhone photography course, because being able to take nice photos with your phone and then posting them on Instagram and having other people, repost you or tag you or see it or like it is a huge, like a 10x leverage for sure. Photography is a huge gift for most people. And everyone wants good photos of themselves. And everyone wants cool photos of what they did yesterday, just the world we live in. So that's what I would suggest.
I think it's really interesting what you said about content and also that brand that you built. What are your thoughts on finding a way to integrate your social life, your dating life, and business into one kind of circle? Because I think that ultimately would be an ideal setup.
That's the ideal setup. I mean, I managed to do that. It's a high ambition though. I would say this, like, it's the same with the steroid guys on Instagram. You see guys super buff, you see them super big, you compare yourself to that. Don't start comparing yourself to like the Dan Bilzerians or even me. Like there are photos of me with like 20 girls on a beach and quite Dan Bilzerian-y. And I don't even like putting that stuff on my Alex Leon YouTube channel or social media, because I don't want to spread the message that this is what you need. I think as a regular guy, who's not chasing models around the world like I'm crazy enough to do, just a regular guy who wants to go out, meet some ladies, have some lovers, find a cute girlfriend eventually, and have a great life with her. I think a social circle that is, for example, a group of friends who organize different hikes is amazing. A group of friends who regularly goes dancing in different venues, or a group of friends who loves old indie movies and does like outdoor cinema, and they find a spot in a wood and then they put up a cinema wall and a projector and do that. Or a group of friends who just meet to do board games, right? And invite other friends to do board games. But obviously keep the ratio good. I mean, the ratio is always important, right? You should always have at least as many women as men, no matter what you do. But I think that is totally fine. You don't have to do a amazing photo shoot. You don't have to chase models. I think, don't get distracted with that, just as a note.
I think it's especially dangerous in today's culture where people are getting more isolated than ever. And I think there's a lot of people who are they go to work and then they maybe they go to the gym or do something and then they come home and don't talk to anyone all
it's
day.
Horrible. It's horrible.
Like,
and they think that's life because that's their bubble, right? And then they see other dudes maybe on social media and they're like, oh, it's fake. Or I even get comments on my YouTube videos that like I'm hiring actresses that I'm talking to. It's like, it's so unbelievable to man that like I talk to strangers. Like the only way that's possible is if I hire someone. So yeah, get out of your own bubble is my advice.
Yeah. And I think that guys even have more of an advantage now than ever before if you actually learn these social skills, because when you go out and actually talk to people in public, like they're more into it than ever because they're like, oh man, someone is actually talking to me in person. Like it is unusual for people to be approached by a stranger or to strike up conversations with strangers. So you're going to stand out that much more.
Yeah, it is incredible. I just did a 100 approaches challenge where I approached 100 women in 5 days. I think I got like one or two who like completely blanked me. Everyone else was at least neutral, friendly, and then many of them gave me their number. So yeah, that fear of rejection is not real. Like women are actually quite friendly, but you have to try it for yourself. Yeah. On that note, it's like, I mean, we have these things, you know, we got these phones these days, and you can film yourself and you can put it online, and then other people see it, and then they can reach out even when they're on the other side of the world, and then you can communicate with them, and you could, you know, meet up, and you can do something, and you can relate with someone who's far away and work on a project together and launch something and sell it. Like, it is fucking insane, you know, the opportunity we have these days. Like, you're not
Yeah.
stuck at all in your village like you were 500 years ago. But yeah, so many men just think it's impossible, which upsets me. But you know, you can't save everyone, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I think it's great that what you're doing, right? I think that getting a handle on your dating life is one of the most important things you can teach a guy. Like, I think that it can actually change someone's life. And I think actually one of the most dangerous archetypes for a guy is the one who becomes really successful in all points of his life except for dating.
yeah,
And let's say becomes really rich, becomes like a multimillionaire, and then gets totally fleeced by some girl one day who like actually doesn't like him, but is just using him for money or whatever.
that is rough. Yeah, and I've seen it. It's rough. I feel for those guys because society told them money, money, money is what they need, right? And they did a great job. They built really respectable careers for them, and then they're just older, you know, which is not really a problem. There's plenty of young ladies who love older guys, but the problem is the ego. Because I've been with guys very wealthy but very old. The age is not the problem, but very wealthy and very successful and very celebrated within their niche. Guys with hundreds of employees, and the ego is so high to admit, oh shit, I'm not good at that thing, I should
Mm,
improve it. It's quite tough, you know, versus a young guy who's like, yeah, I suck at everything, so I learned dating. It's easier
mm.
to kind of swallow your own pride than the CEO dude with hundreds of employees. Yeah, but it is what it is.
In your experience, when it comes to coaching guys and dating, does the approach change at all if a guy is really looking to just settle down and, find a wife versus if they're out just dating, having fun?
No, because I think to find a wife, you still have to charm her. You still have to flirt with her. You still have to go on a date. So the approach is the same. Now, obviously, maybe where you're looking could be different. Like, I wouldn't necessarily look for my wife maybe in a certain area of town, or it's in the nightclub. But even that is possible. You know, just because she's at a nightclub once doesn't mean she's not wife material. I'm not that, I don't know, niche. But in general, there's a certain, there's obviously red flags. But hey, you still have to charm her. You still have to go on a date. You still have to escalate and sleep with her eventually. So it's the same. Then it's more on you if you stop after you found her or you keep gaming. You know, that's the other side of game. It can get addictive, right? Because
Mm.
it feels amazing to meet a stranger and sleep with her the same day, the next day, the same week, whatever, right? So there's definitely dopamine involved. So that's the biggest difference, I think, between having fun and finding a wife. It's on you if you actually stop when you found the wife.
Yeah, a couple things to that. I think that it's interesting what you mentioned about where you look, because I think that's something that we also saw doing our interviews. Like, yeah, like when you're in Vegas, you're attracting for a certain type of girl
Mm.
who's like traveled there to party, or Miami. And I think that's one of the big values of what you said about building your own social circle, is that you get to curate who is in that circle. And I
Yeah.
think that is a great opportunity that guys don't realize. Like, you can build your own circle. Like, you don't need to go to a club or go to a certain place like a bar or something to have people show up. You can generate your own
Yeah.
hangouts,
And
and
it's,
that's the
yes, sir.
best.
Absolutely. And then the content topic comes in again. Like, you have power over the way you show yourself to the world. Obviously, through your clothing, that's one layer, right? Like the immediate first impression you make on people. Like, obviously, if I dress super corporate, I will attract more girls who are maybe into businessmen, right? If I dress like a skateboard dude, I will attract ladies who are into the hipster, cool young guy, right? So I have control over that. And then even further, I have control over how I show myself on Instagram. I can put
Mm.
certain photos up there. I can act like a playboy. I can act like a thoughtful poet dude. I can act like the super hustle guy who's hard working on his business. And guess what? Again, different women will be into different kind of guys. So then you can think, okay, what is the type of woman I want to attract? So do I want to attract party girls? Well, then you can show yourself a bit like a fuck boy because they like hanging out with fuck boys. Or do I look for wife material? Well, a girl who's wife material is also attracted to a serious guy who has his life together, right? Who's not constantly hanging out with party girls. So then you have to portray yourself like that on Instagram to attract that kind of girl. And that is your power. And I think it's highly underused, the power of social media to portray an archetype, not to gain followers or to act cool. No, to portray an archetype that conveys a certain message to the girls you want to date.
I think actually that's something where the fitness aspect actually does play in
Mm-hmm.
because social media has changed our interaction so much to become, in a way, more superficial, where a lot of you is judged off of like a 20-second reel or something like that. So how you look physically actually does make a big difference in terms of that first impression. And it also goes beyond just the looks to convey a lot about your personality. Like when you have a good physique, when you're in shape, you take care of yourself, it portrays discipline, portrays hard work, and a lot of those really positive attributes that will go beyond the surface level appearance.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing, actually. I think that's what the woman sees. She's like,
Yeah,
okay, if he can work on his body, he can work on something else. If he's disciplined enough to, you know, yeah, get that physique over many years, he will be disciplined enough to keep going on his company or to build a family or to be reliable, right? It's reliableness, it's discipline that she just by proxy sees through your body, and that's what she values.
yeah. A lot of girls who were coming on to me or whatever, when they saw photos of me, they would be complimenting me on my discipline and the hard work. They'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
"Wow, you really like worked hard to get that." And
Yeah.
that's what sets you apart from the other guys who just don't have that ability.
Maybe that's the reason they say they don't care so much about the physique because maybe they really don't, but they really care about the discipline and the fact that you can work on yourself and take care of yourself.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah. Okay, Bill, thank you so much. This was a great conversation. I think very insightful for a lot of guys out there. I can definitely say it away from the dating, let's ignore all women. It fucking feels good to work on your body. That's what I can say. I love
Hell yeah.
hitting new PRs. I love, seeing progress, just like you said at the beginning of this interview. So, even as a dating coach, I would tell every guy just like fucking work out. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you not? Like ignore the women. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it for yourself. And there is no excuse, right? Like, really, there isn't. There's so much information now. You have enough time in the day. It is fun. And if you need to hack it, like I have to sometimes because I'm very busy and I travel all the time, then there's also ways. So I hope that's the main takeaway for dudes here who are just not in the shape that they could be in.
Oh yeah. Getting into shape will transform your life. It's indescribable. You got to do it as a man.
Yeah, there's no excuses. Okay, Bill, thanks for coming on.
All
See ya.
right. Cheers, man. Thanks for having me on.